Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of Powered by Hope. Thank you so much for joining me and for all the love you guys have showered on these sound bites. I am so grateful and so appreciative. And oh, by the way, I'm your host, Monica Bhide. I've been told to remind people who the heck they're listening to. All that noise. So before I get into the stories, I actually want to talk a little bit about what's going on. There is so much news about the pandemic and the statistics and what's happening and what's going to happen and what could possibly happen, and the doomsday people and the Pollyanna people and the doomsday people and the Pollyanna people and the somewhere in the middle people and the experts and the not so experts. It's overwhelming. There is so much news out there. And I've been getting lots and lots of emails and lots of calls from friends and readers and a little bit about all this noise. So here we are, addressing what can we do about so much noise other than just kind of tuning it out, which is hard to do right now, right? Let's be realistic. So I want to tell you a little bit about what happened to me a few years ago. So I found myself in a very difficult spot, to be honest, and I was just surrounded by noise. And it seemed I needed more of everything, and yet nothing that I got made me happy. And I recall feeling very overwhelmed and yet very empty at the same time. And I feel like that's why I'm here, because it's the same kind of feeling. There's so much information, and yet you're like, what's really going on? And we try to remind ourselves that, sometimes the only thing that's certain is uncertainty, and that's difficult. Anyway, back then, in a feeble attempt to clear my head, I began to clean my son's toy room. My son was really young at the time, and I was putting away his books and toys, and I found a bunch of old Indian comic books lying around, and I picked up one of them, and it was about a very talented prince in Hindu mythology whose name was Arjuna. And my younger son, Arjun, is actually named after this brave warrior prince. And turns out the lesson applied more to me than it applied to my son. So the story opens with the Indian guru Dronacharya, who was training a group of young Indian princes in the art and skill of archery. So what the guru did was he tied a fish to the branch of a tree high up in the tree, and then he called all the warriors and said, "See, I've placed a bowl of oil under that fish. I want you to look into the oil, see the reflection of the fish, and then I want you to aim your bow and arrow up in the air and hit the eye of this wooden fish, all while looking at its reflection in the oil below." Now, these young men were, superbly skilled and very talented, and they said, "Oh my God, this is going to be so easy." So the oldest prince came out first and was ready with his bow and arrow, and the guru said, "Look in the bowl, tell me what you see." And the prince looked in the bowl and said, "I see the leaves." And the guru shook his head and said, "You're not ready. Next." The next guy came. The guru asked him the same question, and he looked in the bowl and he said all he saw was the sky. And yeah, there was a fish. So the guru was like, "Nope, you're not ready." Third one came, "What do you see?" And he said, "Well, I see the fish, I see branches, I see fruit, I see a flower." The fourth one came and he said, "I see leaves, I see oil." They were all asked to leave. And finally, it was Prince Arjuna's turn. And the guru asked him, "What do you see?" The prince came, looked into the bowl, aimed his bow and arrow at the fish and said, "Guru, I see the eye of the fish." And the guru smiled and gave him the order to shoot. The ace archer's arrow pierced the eye of the fish. The story hit home for me because there was so much noise that time, and I realized I was the one, I was like all the other princesses, focused on the sky, the branches, the numbers, of my books, the followers, the echo of praise that was gone by, or the hollowness of the feared future, when all I really needed to do was focus on the moment at hand and what it demanded of me. I needed to work on my dream writing project. And would you believe, my debut novel, Karma and the Art of Butter Chicken, was born out of that attempt of focusing on something that mattered and leaving the noise alone. It's all noise. All the extra news, all the looking at the same news again on TV, it's all noise. We can educate ourselves by looking at one or two sources we trust, but then after that, it's all noise. We need to stay safe, follow all the precautions, do what we're doing, but then really focus. Now, this brings up an important question, right? What should I focus on? Like, how do I determine my focus? And I absolutely love the story that Dan Blank of We Grow Media, who is an amazing author coach, shared in his last newsletter. If you don't know Dan Blank, go check him out. His book is fantastic. He's amazing. He's encouraging and so knowledgeable about authors and marketing books and how to put your creative work out there. More than anything, he teaches people how to tell stories and tell them beautifully. Absolutely remarkable gentleman. Please check out his work. But what really hit me last week was his newsletter about choosing our focus. And I'm going to read a little bit from the newsletter where he's talking about giving yourself permission to create during this time of great chaos. And he says, several years ago, Ira Glass, longtime host of the radio show This American Life, was asked about the firing of New York Times executive editor Jill Abramson. Ira's response, I have no idea what you're talking about. His answer surprised the interviewer, who said, it's hard to believe that anyone in journalism or broadcasting could still not know Abramson's name at this point, as her ousting was made very public and has been exclusively covered by many media outlets. Why didn't Ira know who she was or the big headlines or about what was going on at the Times? Ira put it this way, I live in my own little bubble. I live in my little world, and we're putting together a show that we're putting up at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. I'm what I'm doing today, and we're working on a radio show. So it's been pretty busy. I'm so sorry. That was either the worst possible quote or possibly the most useful quote I could give you. Am I like the only person in New York who hasn't heard of this? What Ira shared is a reminder that we get to choose and where we focus our work. So my dear, dear loves, today I'm going to make a couple of requests. We're going to do a little exercise where I want you to commit to having focus on one thing that is going to make you personally happy. Now, when I say that, everybody goes into, oh my God, I don't have time, or it's too big, or it's too this, or it's too that. Don't do that. Pick something small that'll make you happy. Do you want to learn how to paint a flower? Do you want to learn how to crochet? Do you want to learn how to knit? Do you want to learn how to, I don't know, exercise better, do yoga, bake something? Do you want to learn how to, alphabetize your spice rack? Pick something for you, just for you, that'll make you happy. The idea behind this is to get focus into one small thing, sort of inconsequential to the rest of the world, but it helps us shut out the noise because we're so focused on so many other things that, I need to do this to pay the bills, I need to do this to take care of the family, I need to do all of this, but what am I doing for myself? What is my self-love, self-compassion? The one thing for me that's going to make me happy and that I can use to shut out all the noise. So I commit to you that I'm going to try my hand at making Indian breads, which I try to do, and I can do somewhat decently, but honestly, they're pretty terrible. So I have to learn how to make better Indian breads. I'm going to learn how to roll dough. That's my big thing for me personally, and thankfully for the taste buds of my children to survive. Now, the second one is I want you to make a small commitment about what you're going to do for your community. Again, it doesn't have to be some big, huge thing. Just something simple, something easy. People are transcribing for the Library of Congress. I read somewhere that you can help the environment by keeping an eye on the penguins. There's a site that you can go on and help the penguins. You can do some bird watching. For Yale, I believe that's doing a study on birds in different areas. some little thing that helps a cause that's all of us put together, right? What's the one big cause that you're going to work on? And for me, honestly, it's been this podcast that has been life-saving, or sound bites, or whatever you want to call them. This is my gift to you as my community. So just think a little bit outside the box. What's the one thing you can do that you can focus on, that you can just put all your energy into something small that's for the community, that'll help you, focus on something and clear out from your head all this noise that's surrounding us. Because remember, nobody, even in the best of times, could predict the future. They really can't. So we are in the moment. We're going to live in the moment, and we're going to be grateful for where we are. And I think that's the best way to move forward. I'm sure there are many, many other wonderful things that we can do. And if you have suggestions, please, send them to me. I'm happy to include them in next week's podcast. But for now, make yourself comfortable. We're going to go into a little meditation. And actually, this meditation, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I put a little exercise in it for you. All right. So make yourself very comfortable. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. One more deep breath in and breathe out. Now make sure all the muscles in your body are relaxed. Make sure your jaw's not all clenched up. Eyes are relaxed, face muscles, shoulders are relaxed, arms are relaxed. Make sure your torso is relaxed, hips, legs, your feet. Just breathe. One more time, deep breath in and out. And now think, we're a year ahead. It's May 2020. 2021. It's May 2021. I'm going to do a little hindsight exercise because, hindsight's 2020, as that tomfoolery video has been saying. All right, so it's May 2021. You're going to write a little Dear Monica letter. So start your letter with, I listened to the soundbite, and it's something I've been thinking about. How do I cut out all the noise? And how do I focus? I focused. And here are the two things that I focused on. This was my personal commitment, and this was my commitment to the community. And let me tell you how awesome I did. Awesome I did. Monica, you're never going to believe what happened from my little personal commitment project. And forget that, you're going to be even more shocked when I tell you what happened with my community project. If I had not cut out all the noise, and it's all noise, I cut it all out and I focused inside and I came up with these amazing things. And let me tell you what I've done. And come celebrate with me, Monica. Let's celebrate together. This is what I have created. Together, this is what I have created. That, my friends, is my little meditation and exercise for this episode. Thank you so, so, so much for joining me. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay safe. Keep all noise. We're all in this together, and we're all going to make it out together and be well. Again, this is Powered by Hope, and I'm your host, Monica Bhide. Love you guys.